Donald, are you making another YouTube video?
Why?
Because you told me to subscribe and hit the notification, and now I'm getting blown up with stupid nerd content.
So? Welcome everybody. You're here today to discuss what is the chances of Bbtag 2 happening, the sequel to Blazblue Cross Tag Battles. I think there's a few things that come into play when thinking about if a sequel will happen even, let alone what the circumstances, criteria, and all the things that need to fall into place in order for that to happen. So let's just assume it's gonna happen. This is kind of where the premises of everything, the stuff that I was thinking about. So let's dive right into it. So there's two schools of thought, I think, on this as far as how the sequel's gonna happen. So first, let's break down what Bbtag is. Bbtag is a bunch of games that recycled resources from other games. Now, this is not a new practice. This is a very, very old practice. So, I mean, Capcom did this right up until Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like, every Versus game is a hodgepodge of resources that were used previously and then repurposed for the new game, add in new system mechanics, have a fun boss, bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself a crossover fighter. They even did it with Street Fighter Cross Tekken a little bit. Like, that's probably the most modern example on the side of Capcom things. It kind of broke the mold with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and probably the most notorious aspect of the recycled resources, where you really kind of seen things getting reused and recycled, is CVS2, where you see the really nice and fresh SNK sprites versus like the alpha sprites to a certain degree of the Street Fighter side of things. And Capcom is not the only dev that does this, because we've seen it on the Sega side of things too, with Fighters Megamix, which include Fighting Vipers, Virtual Fighter, and even Daytona USA. One of the hidden characters you can unlock is the Daytona USA car. So we all think Blitztank was the first vehicle you can pick as a fighting game character. Back in the late 90s, you could pick the Daytona USA car called Hornet, and he stands up and he punches with his wheels. It's absolutely insane. But again, you're taking assets from 3 different games, mashing them together, and making something fun. Now it comes to what assets get used for Bbtag 2, or Blazblue Cross Tag Battles 2. So, the first way, and I guess the easiest way that we're gonna get the game would be use what they didn't use in the first one. So there's still characters left on the 3 main titles. I say 3 because RWBY doesn't really count. I mean, because RWBY, the thing with the RWBY franchise is those are brand new original sprites created off the rip, right? So adding a few characters from that IP, you'll probably get some, but that's not going to be the main seller. Really, it's the rest of the Persona characters, and it would have to be the rest of the characters from Persona 4 Arena. It would have to be the rest of the characters from Uniclear, which is the most recent update of the Under Night series, and then obviously the remainder of the Blazblue roster. Now, I don't know how many characters that is in total, but I think they used the lion's share of them making the original Bbtag. I'd have to double check that, but I don't think recycling the same assets further is what's going to make the new Bbtag sequel. I mean, maybe, because they did that with like again, Capcom was notorious for this back in the day. So going from Marvel 1 to Marvel 2, they expanded it absolutely exponentially. They went hog wild with the resources they could add in. So with this one, it's a little bit different though, because I don't know how many fighters are going to pull from. Like, I don't think you could pull from the Melty Blood roster. I think their sprites are too up to date versus like everything that's like a decade old and dated in this game. I mean, you never know, you could. I don't think that's likely. I think it's just drawing from the well a little bit more and a little bit further. The way I think, personally, that it's probably gonna go, well, we need the stars to align, because I don't, honestly, I don't think a sequel's actually happening. But I think if it were to happen, a few key factors here. One, there has to be a new Blazblue mainline game. The game's called Blazblue Cross Tag Battles. I think you need a new Blazblue game, and it has to introduce new characters, bring back old characters, yada yada yada, everything that you need to make a new game. But the snag here is you gotta use 3D models. It has to have the new fresh 3D models. So like your old plastic and stuff like that. The roster won't be as thick and as expansive and robust as probably the most recent title, which I believe is CF. But a healthy size, a healthy, good initial start roster that you could work with, but it has to go to 3D models. Why? Because I feel if you did a Bbtag 2 and you had the 3D models, now you're pulling from totally different franchises. So say goodbye to all your favorites. Unist, Uniclear, Undernight, gone. That's not making an appearance in Bbtag 2. You're gonna get what else? Persona 4, gone. They're not coming through either. Now you might get Persona characters still, but I think it'd be special made 3D models and be added to the game, almost like the RWBY franchise was added to the first game, right? So I think they'll make original models for a few characters. Will it be from the Persona franchise? Yes, but it'll probably be closer to Persona 5 and not Persona 4. So you're getting like Joker and a few friends there. But the other collaborating IPs that you would get in exchange, you would be getting the up-and-coming DNF Duel, I'd assume. Guilty Gear Strive, obviously, like Blazblue exists because they lost the rights to Guilty Gear, but I think bringing that back in-house, so you'll get some Strive roster. You'll also get some Grand Blue Versus roster, and again, all like very similar looking, beautiful 3D sprites. I'll even go out on a limb. I think you'll get more of the Ding Dong franchises with the one-off characters. For example, in this game, you got Blitztank, Akatsuki, Heart, and stuff like that. I think we'll see a bit more than that if they did 3D models, because you'd get that one-off Persona, like I mentioned. You would also get Android 21. That character was created exclusively for Dragon Ball FighterZ, so you can get her or the Lab Coat Edition if you want to suffer through that misery again. But again, another one-off IP, and then you can go even further into like RPGs and whatnot, and other stuff that ArcSys has some sort of working relationship with, or the potential to work with. So, like I said, new mainline Blazblue title, as well as new 3D graphics, 3D models, ditch the sprites. As much as I love the sprites, I wish everything would stay sprite. I was resistant to going to Marvel 3 due to the fact that they switched from sprites in Marvel 2, but like that ended up being one of the greatest games ever made, period. Not even in the scope of FGC. So you gotta grow, you gotta evolve, you gotta move on. So those are my thoughts on the circumstances that are gonna have to happen as far as Bbtag 2 becoming a thing. In reality, do I think we're going to get a sequel to the game? Probably not. If we do, it would be years down the road, and I don't know if that would make sense to them, because Bbtag is unique that it brought a lot of players in as their first and only fighting game, and give it too much time and players are going to move on to other things. They might move outside the genre, they might move away from playing games altogether. There's a lot of moving parts there, so to have like a legit sequel to Bbtag seems unlikely, especially where the creation of it was kind of the perfect storm out of left field, and alas for hurrah for all the other IPs. The one hopeful beacon of light, however, is that we did get rollback from Bbtag. They updated a 4-year-old game that hasn't seen any support in like 2 years. They also reintroduced the P4AU and gave it rollback and did a lot of fan service stuff, so obviously there is some glimmers of hope. It's just, I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I'm wrong all the time. Probably right though. Please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. If you don't like it, dislike it, and if you want to tell me what's going to happen with Bbtag 2, please enlighten me, let me know. Of course, Bbtag, Blazblue Cross Tag Battles Tournament, is here every single Tuesday night live on the Twitch that's linked in the description below. We got rolled back, so roll with us or get ran over, folks. Have a good night. See you next time.